Wave after wave of geese coming over us. We're going to stay here. Oh, gosh. We're going to be here a couple of 3 days. I want to show you this part of Tamaulipas. We're in the central coastal area of Tamaulipas. Just an incredible goose and sandhill crane refuge down here. I mean, maybe 8, 9, 10,000 sandhill crane in this one area, and about twice as many geese. We're going to go through their life cycle during the day. We're going to show you where they roost, where they feed, and I'm going to show you my camp I've got set up. I'm Steve Walker. This is Border Outdoors. Vámonos. Late at night, you can hear the surf roaring if the wind's not too high. Got these sea oxeye and Sakawisti, Sakatan savannas, little prairies, and then this thick, incredible brushy mott's. Same kind of brush we've got, with a couple of little differentials. But when you dive off into the brush, I guarantee you, it is, well, it's disappearing time. Granjeno right there. It's the same kind of brush, it really is. 1 or 2 different type trees and 1 or 2 different type cactuses, but the rest of the time it's mainly the thorn trees, bisberinda, ebony, lots of granjeno, lots of guayacan, tesajilla. But what makes it different down here, it's so much thicker and higher, and just it looks more healthy than our brush. And then as we get into these natural little glades, they open up and it becomes sea oxeye, Sakatan, Sakawisti. Same stuff we've got, but wilder, a whole lot wilder. All the cats are here. All the people talk about jaguarundi. They even talk about ocelot, and that's something they don't talk about up around San Fernando and Mendez anymore. Nobody talks about ocelot, but here they still got the tigrillo. They say they don't see any jaguar anymore. They say they still see a few puma, mountain lion, but gato rabon, tigrillo, and jaguarundi. Down here, they also call the jaguarundi onza instead of leoncillo. But it's our cat. Pero mucho, mucho. This is just one of those special moments. He's shooting the camera to the south. There's quail running down the road in front of me right now. There's half a dozen different species of hawks. And to the north of me, there's almost as many geese as there are to the south. Go ahead and turn around, Rick, and look over here. In the air right now, maybe 5,000 geese. Both sides of me. We are in such a remote part of Tamaulipas that there are no facilities here for any guests, any tourists of any kind. So we have brought in a tent camp. Let me show you Campo Paracadista. We just got rid of a bunch of guests Let me show you where we put them up. 2 men to a tent. Got a nice big Mexican style cot, huh? Air mattress. And when it gets cool, we put the blanket to it. Although I tell you what, personally, I don't think you can beat a good sleeping bag. I sleep in a sleeping bag. Let me show you the cook shack. This is something else. This is an old milk delivery truck. Trailer part of it anyway, okay? Let me show what we've done inside. Got 2 stoves. Butane powered, right? You get butane in Mexico in those big, tall tanks. Run the lines right straight through the wall of the trailer. Yeah. And we've got a good plancha over here. We can cook. Well, we are cooking for 30 people. You got to maintain some standard of hygiene. And when you're cooking and washing, you've got to get that soap off the plate, and that takes hot water. And we've got it here with good pressure. Hot water is also powered by butane through a boiler. We're really trying to be self-sufficient. Of course, there's one thing we depend on from the local people, and that is water. We go to their tinacos, to their big water tanks, and we fill ours up, 2,000 liters. Empty right now, but when she's full, we got this electric pump, sucks the water in, builds up pressure. We have enough pressure to take a hot, strong running shower. Let me show you the piece de resistance. This has got to be the nicest thing I've ever seen a rough camp try to do. And I've rough camped in the Yukon Territory and all over Mexico. My left-hand side, we've got 3 commodes. All work, all good pressure. 3 sinks. Look at that water pressure. And 2 shower stalls. The back end of the trailer has just enough room for 2 side-by-side shower stalls. Voila. Now, everybody can't just shower one man after another. We got 2,000 liters of water. But if you time it right, if you work it right, and if you work in shifts, everybody has a good shower. This is a beautiful part of the country. We are in Tamaulipas, on the coast of Tamaulipas, between the mouth of the Rio Concho and the mouth of the Sota La Marina. There is a corridor of brush right along the coast that is much similar to what we have in the lower Texas coast. Red Clay Lomas, sand and wind driven. Lots of game. We're going to show you some spectacular shots of geese and sandhill cranes, and maybe even more spectacular than the seeing of it is the hearing of it. I'm Steve Walker. This is Border Outdoors. After a break. There's all kinds of feed in this area. They've just opened it up to agriculture. There's standing sorghum, there's sorghum soca, there's sorghum rastreado, sorghum that's been turned over, and then there's corn, beautiful huts of corn, various stages of development. All kinds of birds are using it. The most amazing one in numbers, other than the geese, are the crows. Huge numbers of crows. I don't know much about crows. You folks from the Midwest, this is nothing new to you. I didn't know they kettled like that. Up there kettling like a bunch of hawks. But I promise you, every last one of those is a big old black crow. the birds of prey and the crow and the grackle and the peeps are all here for food. Now that's a caracara, considered a bird of prey, but he's a first cousin to a vulture. Down here they call him totache. These fields are being plowed under, and when they're doing so, they're exposing mice nests, they're exposing insects and worms, and everything finds something to eat right now. It is absolutely a bird's feast. It's mid-December now. Geese have been in this part of Tamaulipas for 2 weeks. The flock is building every day. Snows mostly. There's also white-fronted geese or speckled bellies and a few lesser Canadians, but mainly snow. They're here the same reason the birds of prey are here, for something to eat. And when they turn that ground over, they lay flat on the ground stalks of sorghum. The sandhill crane have found this spot also. They've been here earlier than the geese, and this year I noticed many, many adolescent sandhills. Very encouraging look. They've obviously had a good hatch. Geese numbers are holding up well too. There's been a good goose hatch. I don't see many ducks, and there are freshwater ponds all through this piece of agriculture, and very, very few ducks. That bay behind me is their roost. They'll come in here at night. We've got about an hour's worth of daylight left. We've got the blind set up, and we're going to see what we can do inside it. Can you hear the geese? We're back at the roost. It's dawn, maybe 5 minutes after the sun's come up. Sandhill cranes are already moving. But the geese, about the next 5 minutes, they're going to start really taking off. We want to show you that. Steve Walker, Vámonos. Along the edge of this bay, where the winds and the water have pushed it, millions of feathers, little plumes. That just comes off the animal while they're out there jostling around and playing with one another. But it's just carpeted. Looks like snow all around the edges. And right over here is a sad story. Take a look at it. This snow goose didn't make it for whatever reason. Maybe a hunter wounded him. Maybe he just died of some other accident or stress that he incurred while he was on his migration. But some scavenger picked him clean. Not a thing left on that breastbone. Probably a coyote. This corridor brush along the coast of Tamaulipas is incredible. Between the Soto La Marina River and the Concho River, in this particular area, that corridor stretches inland about 15 miles. Some places, well, the further north you go, it's much more narrow. But down here, it is really, really special. And like we were saying, it's much like South Texas brush. As a matter of fact, this Red Clay Lomas is just like Laguna Atascosa, just like the South Bay, but wilder, bigger. This country is lush. Brush is high, green, and wild. 30 inches of rain helped, too. Lots of wildlife. And should stay that way for a long time. The government's not giving any more credits for brush clearing. This coastal corridor of Tamaulipas is probably safe for a good many more years. Spend some time on the wildlife. And next week on Border Outdoors, we want to spend some time on the people. Got to keep in mind that they didn't even have roads back here until the 50s, and that's nothing but a dirt road then, and it's still remote. And who knows, we might even see some more wildlife. I'm Steve Walker. This is Border Outdoors. Que la vaya bonito.
Join us again next weekend for another Border Outdoors, brought to you by L&F Distributors, Bud Light.